Hi, my name is Jason Morgan. Welcome into my studio today, and I've just tested out some pastel papers, and this video is really a quick review of my findings. At the end of the video then I'll give a link for you and you can go and see a good 30 minutes or more over on my Patreon channel. It's all free. It's just I've kept a short video on here because with YouTube generally people want to see just results really quick in 2 or 3 minutes. If you want to look at it much more in depth and really see how I've done the tests, and you can actually see my pastels going on the papers, so you can see for yourself if it's going to suit you, then over on my Patreon channel I'll have the full one, and I'll also have the link at the end. So what did I use? I've used a few papers. There's a Rowney one, just like your classic cheap flimsy pastel paper, and you can see on there that I've got lots of the man-made ridges on the paper which helps to grab the pastel on there, so I used that one. I've used Pastel Card by Senelia. That's quite an expensive card. It's really thick and it's got that textured surface on there like a fine sandpaper, which you can probably hear. I used Pastelmat, which is really popular. It's another one with a fine texture like a fine sandpaper on there, but not as rough as the Pastel Card. So this was Pastelmat, the other one was Pastel Card. And I tried Canson Touch. That again is a rougher paper, like a sanded surface, and it's, you know, quite rough to the feel, that one is. And I used as well just a standard all-purpose paper, Clairefontaine. And finally another popular one, Velour. So that's a real smooth surface, a fragile feeling paper, white on the back, very fragile feeling. It's got like little hairs like velvet on the surface, so I tried that one as well. And my findings were, okay, a standard paper, you're only going to get basic results. You know, this is a paper that they class as multi-techniques, so you can paint on it to within reason. You can do your graphite on there, and it says pastel as well, but it won't hold the layers. Yeah, so you can get kind of 1 or 2 layers out of it, and that's about it. So that's your basic paper. A standard pastel. Now lots of companies do different versions of this, but they, you know, they're very similar. They've got these little man-made ridges in there. It's a cheap flimsy paper, and once again you can only pretty much get 1 or 2 layers on it. It will not hold layers. Velour. It's a fragile paper, as I said. Every mark you make on there appears to be soft. Even if I've got, like here, I've had to use a sharp pencil, there's a softness to it. It's difficult to get real vibrant ridges on there, and to work in layers you've got to work in soft pastels. Yeah, so if you put in, say, a dark underlayer and then you want to overlay it with a pencil, it's not going to work well at all. You're not going to get your lights over your darks easily with this at all. You've got to use soft pastels to go back over the top for it to sit on the surface. And so that's Velour. Okay, so I've seen some fantastic results with that, but personally I don't think it suits my style. But I'm going to try a drawing out on it just to give it a go now I've got it. Canson Touch, that rough surface, I think it'll work quite well. It doesn't hold as many layers as I was expecting it to. Because it's got a rough surface, I thought it would grab more layers. But it does hold layers, but not as good as I was hoping. Pastelmat, that's the one I've used on all my recent pastel drawings. I find it works superbly. It's really rigid as well. It's fairly expensive, but then the good papers do seem to be fairly expensive, and you can get lots and lots of layers in there. You don't really need to seal it because the pastel sticks into it quite well. So that's my favourite of the moment. Okay, so the Pastel Card Senelia, that's probably the best at holding the layers. It's the most expensive from where I found it, and you pretty much get what you pay for. It's going to hold, like I said, lots and lots of layers, so I'm going to try that out in the future on a large work. and see how it compares then with the Pastelmat. I may find that the Pastelmat has that combination of not being so rough textured, so it can get smoothness in the backgrounds perhaps a little bit easier, but it's not going to hold as many layers, but it's still holding loads any. So that would be my top two, the Pastelmat and the Pastel Card, done by two different manufacturers. So hopefully you've enjoyed that quick run through of the papers. There were lots more out there I could have tested, but they pretty much all fall into these categories, and because not many of the companies, or any of them actually, sent me some test materials to try, I've had to buy everything, whereas the pencil manufacturers and the chalks usually send me some things so I can try a lot of range. Then I was really limited to these because these papers do actually cost so much money to buy. So hopefully it will help you along to make a better guess of what you want to try out. And like I said, over on my Patreon channel, so that's patreon.com/wildlifeart, I've got the full review on this, so you can actually see how I build up the layers and see how I come to my conclusions. See you again real soon. If you're looking for more art resources, I really think I've got you covered. I've got a brand new Patreon channel, and on there every month I bring out exclusive full-length videos for you, and also exclusive reference photos with line art. I've got a dedicated website for tutorials, that's jasonmorgan.co.uk. Lots of full-length videos, some of them up to 8 hours long on there, and there's also ebook tutorials as well if you'd like to read rather than see the videos. I've got a dedicated reference photo website, wildlifeart-online.com. There's over 900 images on there, all for you to use copyright free, and they all come with the Easy Trace line art as well. And don't forget, my YouTube channel is growing all the time. If you can possibly subscribe, then you know you're guaranteed not to miss out on any new videos and updates. See you all again real soon.